I hate all Xiaomi phones. They all suck. The Mi 10 sucks. The Mi 10T sucks. The Poco F2 suck. I'm over Xiaomi. Bye. Okay. I don't actually hate Xiaomi phones. I don't think the Mi 10T Pro is a shitty phone. I don't think that any of the phones that Xiaomi have released lately are what I would call bad devices, or even like not good devices. They're all good phones. Most smartphones that we have in 2020 are good phones. Most of the flagship phones with a Snapdragon 865 or even 855 going back are good phones. They all seem to take pretty good photos compared to what we had 2 or 3 years ago. They all get really, really decent battery life as opposed to what we had in like 2018 when you had to choose between a big phone and a good battery or a small phone and a shitty battery. And there seems to be this misconception that because I'm critical or because I like to point out flaws or individual personal issues that I might have with a device, that somehow I am making this objective statement that the device itself is bad. And more recently than not, I got into a conversation with someone in the comments, which by the way, it's a great place to interact with me, or on Twitter. And he was under the impression that I regretted buying the Mi 10. He said that it came across that way in my videos, even though I've said a few times, I think that this Mi 10 at around 500 bucks is a really good phone. Feels like a premium device, gets premium device specs, has premium device battery life, has a premium screen, has premium build quality, has really top tier level cameras. That's something about the way I was presenting the device or something about this on my channel is that I thought that the devices suck. And I think that there's something that we really need to make clear. At this point in time, this is the end of 2020, if you are buying a device with a Snapdragon 865 or an 865 Plus, if it's from Xiaomi, if it's from Oppo, if it's any brands really outside of, maybe Vivo not having the greatest UI or individual preferences about Android skins, most of the devices that we have right now are pretty good and pretty capable. And with that out of the way, it is kind of my job or my role as a reviewer to find these subtle differences or to nitpick at an individual compromise that was being made. If I were to just say that all devices are good, I would be kind of like a Franky Tech. And this is no disrespect to Franky Tech, but by and large, Franky Tech usually tries to find the positive in all of the devices that he reviews. And that's Franky Tech style, and that's great. And I think that the internet needs more places and more people like Franky Tech online. So this is no slight at him. But where I try to differentiate myself away from other reviewers and away from other people on the internet is that no one buys these devices for me. I take most of the money I make here on YouTube and then I reinvest that into a lot of gadgets that I buy and review for you guys. So with that out of the way, I'm talking about this very much from the average buyer's perspective. I don't make a ton of money living here in Vietnam. I don't have a ton of disposable income for these things. So my perspective and the details that I'm focusing on when I'm talking about a device are the camera, because moving into the future, cell phone cameras are replacing a lot of the traditional things that we use for photography. I'm talking about computing, and what I mean by computing is like video editing in Adobe Premiere Rush, or having something like DeX, which adds a bunch of extra functionality, or using a device for editing RAW files, let's say from Adobe Lightroom. All on this device, right? And how this device can replace traditional computing means. Because I think that things like this are important for us to talk about and important for us to consider as we kind of spend more and more money and spend more and more time on our phones. So the perspective that I'm looking at these devices from specifically has to do with functionality, which is how much am I getting out of this device, and what can I do with this device that I couldn't do with other devices, and what type of functions does one specific device have over another device. So when I talk about something like the differences between the Mi 10T Pro and the Xiaomi Mi 10, the devices have essentially identical hardware. The average user is never going to feel the difference between UFS 3.1 and UFS 3.0 storage. And so there's no reason for me to spend a bunch. And thus I can get in and out of my phone faster. Things like that, at the root of it, absolutely change the way I interact and the way you, the consumer, would interact with a cell phone. Talking about the difference in user experience between 144 hertz and 90 hertz and 60 hertz, and saying that if you're gonna go for a high refresh rate display, I really think that the greater than 90 hertz is where you need to be if that's your thing, because it is such a tangible difference. Those are all things that fundamentally change the way we interface with our devices. And so when I talk about me not liking a specific compromise that a company made, it's because at the end of the day, I might not feel like that compromise necessarily added to the end user's functionality of the device. The same way I would trade a glass and metal build on a phone for like a desktop mode that was built in, and being able to do video over USB-C out, which is something that Xiaomi still doesn't do on their devices. So as much as I would love to say that Xiaomi is drastically changing the way we interface with our devices, at the end of the day, we don't have the development for that desktop mode and stuff like that. So it's kind of why some of my reviews might not come across as necessarily positive or necessarily that glowing, because at the end of the day, I get very much the same functionality out of this phone as I did out of my Poco F1 2 years ago. And so with that out of the way, I hope you guys understand the perspective that I'm talking from. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and make this a podcast also for you guys. And so go ahead, and if you like the podcast, check it out in the links down below to where you guys can download it if you don't want to watch these videos. Until next time, it's been Mitchell. This video's over. Go ahead and click or tap this video right here. Maybe I'm reviewing headphones or Gcam. Go ahead and click on this video right here. Maybe I'm talking about the newest Xiaomi device. And as always, subscribe. I'll just wait for you guys to click on one of these. Still here.